Okay, it is right at 4 o'clock, and I know we're going to have people still joining. I'm going to go ahead, for the sake of keeping us on schedule, going ahead and getting started. If you are late joining and miss anything, this session is recorded and will be posted as the other sessions from the previous days have been. So, again, I want to welcome everybody to our third night of our CTE High School Programs Expo. I want to welcome Josh French and Bill Vivian. They're two of our Sun Valley teachers in our one of our aerospace and avionics academies. So we're going to spend a little bit of time with them and let them tell a little bit about what they do and give you an opportunity to ask questions. I do want to say there's a couple ways for you to ask questions. You can put them in the chat, and our host will relay those and allow our teachers to answer those when time's appropriate. We will also give some time for you to unmute, and you can directly ask our teachers questions if you would like to do so. We also have a document that will be posted in the chat and here shortly that will allow you to post questions there if you have questions after the fact and the teachers have already left the session. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our teachers and let them tell you a little bit about.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Josh French. I am the avionics instructor at Sun Valley High School for part of our aviation academy. Um, my other partner is Dr. Bill Vivian. He'll be speaking here in a minute for you. He teaches the aerospace side. Um, like Mr. Davis said, our academy is hosted at Sun Valley High School, and Sun Valley High School only at this point. Um, okay, it is offered to all UCPS schools in their junior, senior years. Due to transportation not provided by the county at this point. So that would entail the student having their own transportation to and from Sun Valley for their students' appointed class period. SVHS parents or students, you guys can start at any grade level 9 through 12. Our academies consist of two different pathways. Okay, we can go aerospace, which is more of the engineering side, or the avionics, which is more of the mechanical repair side. Okay, both pathways though are both honors classes and have levels 1 through 4. So what that means is you can start with aerospace 1 or avionics 1, and then work your way gradually to the fourth class, which would be essentially 4 separate semesters for each pathway. The prerequisite for aerospace 1 is math 1. Okay. At this point right now, avionics does not have any prerequisites. However, it is a very math heavy course. I will say the math is not too difficult. Okay, I'm not a math person, so if I can do it, your student can surely do it. Okay, so there's no prereqs for avionics at this time. In our classes, every day, both in aerospace and avionics, we are using state of the art equipment um, that the county has purchased for use in our classrooms. And I'll tell you from firsthand experience, seeing students do this, that they love it. Okay, it's a very personal class, if you will, where uh, students start to feel more like family with the instructors. Our academy is essentially one big cohort family. Um, the only difference being in aerospace, they're going to learn more of the flying, the designing, the building type of career pathway with aerospace, and then avionics is more of the repair, basic DC and AC electrical systems, and learning how to fix those when they do, if they when they do break. Credentials are offered, okay, in both classes, which we'll see here in individual class breakdowns coming up. A little side note, which is pretty neat with our academy: 80% of our graduating students completing level 4 classes. That means that a student is either taking aerospace and/or avionics 1 through 4 and completed them satisfactorily. Um, are now at a university pursuing an engineering degree or attending a tech school to learn a mechanical pathway. Okay, we're me, myself, and Dr. Vivian. We proud ourselves on that. In that, students actually see a different side of education. They're used to going to their normal core classes, their Englishes, their maths, their chemistries, their sciences and histories, and when they get to our classes, it's kind of like, oh, this is different, even though we incorporate everything I just said into our class. So it's just a little neat way of going about doing it. And like it says, 80% of our graduating students take level 4 classes go on to pursue a career in engineering or um, um, maintenance repair. Also, Skills USA is something new that we're starting. We just incorporated a chapter at Sun Valley, the first chapter ever, and we're going to be pursuing competitions where students will compete against other students in the state, other students in the nation, at their trade. So for aerospace, that would be designing and building, and for avionics, that would be repairing. Okay, next. So a little bit about avionics. Um, like I said, I teach avionics, Josh French, and this I threw some pictures up here just to kind of grasp what I feel avionics is in a nutshell. Okay, I get a lot of questions from parents and students saying, "Well, what is it? You know, what do you do?" Um, what we do is we learn the basic electrical theory and apply that to aviation. Okay, we apply that to aircraft. So how we do that is you can see a student up here in the upper left. We do a lot of soldering in our avionics classes with PCBs or printed circuit boards. Students learn the importance of handling them correctly and installing electronic component onto the board themselves after obviously proper demonstration. Okay, and they get plenty of training. And this right here, they can take and leave high school and start making, 18 to $20 an hour as an electronic solderer. Okay. Over here, this shows wire repair in the upper right hand corner. We do teach students wire repair all the way from if a plug on your lamp breaks, how they can repair that for 89 cents at Lowe's, and all the way up to doing this into an aircraft correctly. Okay, so we start out very basic and relating it to things that students understand and use daily, and then we upgrade that slowly into the aircraft. Down here in the bottom, that is the six pack that's looking into the cockpit. Students learn all about the six pack. That's what we call it right here. Okay, they learn about the gauges and the importance of them and how it relates to avionics. Okay, and how to repair those if and when they do malfunction. Okay, next. This right here is showing you a little bit down here in the bottom right hand corner. The county so generously has provided us with 13 of these tabletop trainers right here. I feel this is one of the best investments we could have done. Students get to put real circuit cards onto here as if they came out of a bad component from the aircraft. And then I, as the instructor, can input failures, and then the student has to troubleshoot and find out why that circuit is not operating correctly. Okay, and once they satisfactorily tell the instructor or myself what is wrong with the circuit, I clear out the fault. Excuse me, and it works as advertised. Okay, a lot of students enjoy this right here. We also, we'll do side projects. Any teachers in the building that have a TV issue, they'll bring it in. We'll tear it apart and get it down to the circuit card level. And if we have to repair parts, we order them and repair them. Students really like that hands-on kind of stuff. These two pictures right here I took at a Skills USA competition. This is just showing you what they're going to do to compete against other schools across the state. Okay, this was a state competition. So essentially, right here in the upper on the left picture, students are having to solder a PCB board themselves with directions given by the competition committee. So they follow the directions, they solder it. Over here, you can see they have their multimeters. Over here are these yellow stands, and then they check their circuits before they actually get graded. And over here was an expanded picture of that, um, just showing you how large it actually is. Okay, it's a great thing. It's a great thing for students. The Skills USA competition. That's why we are starting it at Sun Valley. Also in avionics, just want to touch on something. We also do utilize simulators, which you're going to see here in a minute in Dr. Vivian's slides. We do use those to show the students how the gauges actually work that they are repairing. Okay, I don't want to get this confused because a lot of people ask, aerospace avionics, like, okay, airplanes. No, it's not just that. Okay, in avionics, you are going to learn basic electricity and advanced if you move on, and then how to repair that. Okay, we're more of a maintenance unit in avionics. Okay, we're taking something that's broken and we're trying to fix it, as opposed to starting to create something from scratch and then test that as we go through the engineering process. Okay, so that's kind of the difference. Okay, next. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Bill Vivian, who is directly my boss. I call him my boss. He's a good guy. So He's taught me a lot, and I'm going to turn it over to him, and he's going to tell you a little bit about aerospace.
Interesting side note. Thank you, Josh. Interesting side note about Josh. I actually did hire him off of, he was in a third world country, I think, at the time. It was definitely a major difference in hours for during the interview. I think he was even on an aircraft carrier. Anyway, he's an ex-Marine, and I'm really glad he's in the program. Listen, I've been teaching aerospace. It's probably for about 6, going on 7 years now. It's project-based. It is a version of STEM because it has the science, the math, and the literacy, of course, the electronics and the engineering side of things. I get into the science side of why you would make a fuselage on an airplane out of certain material, and for not only for the thermal side of things, but for the soundproofing side of things, and for just general temperature flammability, basically. And so that's a lot of the things that we get into from a science perspective. Math is kind of heavy. It does start right out with math 1, and it jumps pretty quickly into the upper level math, just because it's you're doing aerodynamics. You're regulating whether or not force equals mass times acceleration and all the other things of what lift is equal to. We get into why wings are made the way they are, and they're real life scenarios on those projects. Each one of them there's 6 in every one of the courses. So we definitely have to get through all of them in order to finish the semester. It's pretty fast paced. It is a third-party final exam, as Josh in Avionics is as well. They are not teacher made, so therefore they cannot be exempt. And so that makes a difference for some students, but it makes the integrity of the test better for us anyway. Just a side note, North Carolina is number 4 in the nation for the best aerospace manufacturing state in America. This was published back in 2017, as you can see. But they took a lot of things into consideration for that. I will tell you, because we live in Union County, of all of North Carolina, we are about 75% of those jobs. I mean, North Carolina, Union County is huge for a lot of the things that are going on in aerospace. I mean, just repairs for what happens out of Charlotte Douglas and the military side of things and everything else. So it's a great honor that we're here in North Carolina teaching this. So I put some pictures on here. The one on the top left is for Aerospace 1. We fly kites. They make kites, and there's not everything just to diamond kites, but you'd be surprised at what kids think really makes a kite fly until they really try and make it fly, and then they realize, oh my gosh, it's more to it than that. The middle picture on the top there, yes, we make rockets. They learn about the thrust and the weight balance between where the center of gravity is on rockets when we add weight into the payload in the nose cone. And they use 3D software, Inventor Pro software for AutoCAD to create a lot of the stuff that they do in Aerospace 1 and Aerospace 2. The top right photo is a recent one because obviously they have their masks on, but the final project, they made glider planes. And yes, there are girls in aerospace, believe it or not. Top right picture, bottom middle picture. You'll see some others on the next slide in other aerospace classes. But they make glider planes. They have to create it in Inventor Pro and laser cut the actual glider and then put it together and make it fly for approximately 45, 50 feet is what their goal is to make that happen. Down on the bottom right, I typically take Aerospace 2 students to American Airlines out to the flight training center where the airline pilots really do train. We've actually gone in their flight simulators. It's an excellent tour. It's in a secured environment where most people cannot see, and it's a real treat for the students to see the flight simulators. They're multi-million-dollar flight simulators. And then we head on up into the flight tower, and we get a tour of the flight tower, the brand new one that they just created. It's really nice. Down in the middle there is the final project for Aerospace 2. They actually make a glider plane to fly for 20 to 30 minutes is their goal. And they create it from scratch. They put servo motors in there. They learn about the electric motor side of things. Josh touches on it as well as I do, the DC and the AC side of things. But yeah, we use electric motors to make the planes fly. The bottom left is an airfoil that students actually start right out of the gate making. They create an airfoil with a monocoque covering over it to test whether it has more lift than drag. That picture is actually sitting inside of a wind tunnel test where we test the wing from 0 to 85 miles an hour with the air to see whether it does have lift and drag. So the students learn a lot about what they should make and how they should make their wings for that final project for the Aerospace 2. This here is Aerospace 3 and 4. The top left picture is a drone that the students make from scratch. They put it all together. That is the final project for Aerospace 3. Very complicated, obviously, because it's carbon fiber based. They put everything together, the whole GPS, the controlling of it, everything is done. You can see a slight picture on the far left of that top left picture is one of the controllers that we use, a 6-channel controller to make that happen. And so very cool project. The students really like that in Aerospace 3. The rest of the pictures on this entire slide are all about Aerospace 4. Aerospace 4 in the top middle there, we actually convert oxygen and hydrogen and understand about if you were living on another planet, how could you create oxygen for yourself? The top right is we actually have a simulation for satellites and putting them in orbit around the Earth. And what would be the best satellite? Is it an elliptical satellite? What kind of satellite would orbit would be the best for certain different situations? For example, if you wanted to watch the West Coast the most amount of hours you could during a day, where would a satellite need to be positioned so that you could see that? Bottom right is the students actually building a submarine in class. Of course, again, they build that from scratch. In the middle there, in the bottom, you can see there are 2 different groups of students that were competing against each other of building their own. That is their version of their submarine. It has 4 different motors on it for forward, backward, up, and down. They have a camera on there, and they could actually pick things up from the bottom of the swimming pool. I was blessed enough that Brandon Oak Swimming would let us use their pool to do our testing. And so it's really close to Sun Valley because we don't have a swimming pool, but that's what we use. Bottom left is them learning the difference of solar panels and how to create electricity and store it on batteries and what that would actually take. Because Aerospace 4 is all astrospace, meaning outer space, and that's the majority of what Aerospace 4 is. So that is primarily what we have. Here's 2 pictures that we've got ending up here. Avionics Lab is on the left side. It's, as Josh had mentioned, it's got a lot of state-of-the-art equipment in there. You can see his boards are up on the top there with oscilloscopes and generators and everything else that he needs. It's a great brand new lab, as well as mine on the right hand side, Aerospace Lab. You can see my quad tables of where the kids get together and they meet as quad. Right now they sit 1 to a table, but you know, previous to this they would have sat 4 to a table and they would work in teams of 4. On the far side of the wall over there, you can see all my flight simulators. Aerospace 2 has got a lot of flight simulation and a lot of flying planes, Dead Reckoning, and all the other things. They do learn about the 6-pack and what each one of those dials is. Josh really works on how to repair all that. I teach them what they mean and how to fly planes. So that's primarily what you'll see and what we do. And so that's the Avionics Academy, or Aviation Academy here at Sun Valley.
All right. And Bill, I want to thank you and Josh for going through that. We do have some questions coming in. I'm going to let Mr. Barker share some of those questions. And we've got about 10 minutes left. So we've got some in the chat. I'm going to let him share those with the group first. And then what we'll do, if you can continue to add there, or you feel free after that to have opportunity to unmute and ask the teachers directly questions. So if you want to go ahead and ask those.
Great. Yeah, thank you both for that. I thought it was some great information in there. First question, someone wanted to know, is it possible to get to level 4 in both of programs if you're at Sun Valley starting in 9th grade? And then which class did you typically choose for the students?
Okay, so yeah, you it's hard to get all 4 in both, simply because of other requirements for the state. They require, so many credits in math, so many credits in English, so many credits in social studies and stuff like that. So we find it hard. That's 8 electives, which would be almost every single elective. So if they decided that they wanted to do that and not take, programming or any of our other great programs we have at Sun Valley, then I mean, they technically they could, yes, they could do 4 levels in both, but it would be very, very tough.
Yeah, the only thing to add to that is it's required to graduate is 6 CTE classes. That would be 8 of them if you took all of us, both of us. But I think students find out whether they're more kinesthetic and they like working with their hands versus, using the engineering side of creating planes, developing planes, or flying planes. I mean, that's the basic difference.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, great. Had another question or a couple questions in here. One was, do students incur any cost for your classes?
No.
No.
Okay.
Now, the only cost they would incur right now is if they're all virtual. They would have the option of buying some equipment to do the projects at home, but if they come to school face to face, there's no cost.
And the only other thing to add to that is the only other cost would be if we went on field trips. I mean, that's true
Yeah.
for any class, but nothing for the equipment.
Okay, great. And then we had a couple questions that kind of relate to this being an academy and how does that work for students. So I'll let Mr. Davis kind of address how academy programs work.
So again, my name is Brian Davis. I'm the Director of Career Readiness for Union County Schools, and this is something that we come up and want to make sure everybody understands. So basically, what a CTE Academy is different than like Central Academy of Technology and Arts, where it's a school. A CTE Academy is basically a pathway, such as Avionics or Aerospace, that students are allowed to travel during their junior and senior years to that program to take those courses because they're not offered at every school. So what we do is we have our students, when if they're interested in those programs on their as they're registering for their junior year, they can fill out an academy application, and I would encourage them to meet and get to know their career development coordinator at their schools. And they will work to help them fill out that application, discuss the process with it. They apply, and if there are seats available, then those students can be granted the opportunity to provide their own transportation. They will need to be able to drive or have someone take them, and they can go over and take these classes at Sun Valley. And we have students that do that almost every semester. So it is definitely something that students take advantage of. So if you're interested in learning more about our academies, you can go to the ucpscte.org website. There's actually an academy map up there, and you can see where some of the academies are. We do have a couple new additions, such as ag mechanics and robotics, that are going to be added at some of our schools. So I hope that answers the question. If it does not, please feel free to reach out through the chat or just unmute. I believe the second part of that question, Mr. Barker, was will they be a Sun Valley student or their home school? If they are coming from another school in our academies, they will still be a part of their home school. If it's a Forest Hills High School student, then they would still be a Forest Hills High School student. They would just travel and take those courses for that particular block or two.
And typically, we only offer it for those students first block to make it easier for them to be able to get to Sun Valley, take the course, and get back to their original school.
That's correct. That's a good point, Bill. And a lot of times we'll do an online course for the other class to allow more flexibility with travel.
Yeah.
Any other questions coming in there?
Are the facilities wheelchair accessible?
Yes, they are. We currently have wheelchair students in our classes now.
Okay. And then which class should I take if I'm interested in air traffic control?
I'd probably go ahead, Josh.
I touch on air traffic control in my curriculum for about a day and a half. So they get a little glimpse of it, but
You're probably going to be in an aerospace class for that kind of thing. Because like I said, I take them to the flight tower. We review all of the requirements for A space, B space, C, and D space for planes and flying and all of that they would require. The pseudo city codes and all of that. I get into that for aerospace.
Yeah, I concur.
Okay. And then are there recommended prerequisite courses students can take as freshman and sophomore year before taking your classes?
Not really.
Just Math 1 for me is all that they really need.
Yeah, none for me.
Okay. And then if a student, do they have to be 11th and 12th grader if they're at Sun Valley, or is it just?
No, 9 through 12 at Sun Valley.
Okay. Yep. So that question, I don't remember the parent there. So again, if they were at Sun Valley, they could take that starting in 9th grade. The reason it'd be 11th or 12th grade is that's the grade they have to be in to be a transport for the academies.
Yep. That's correct.
Okay. Are there any AP courses that pair well with the aerospace?
No, not at this point.
Well, and what I would say on that is the best thing to do if you're interested in looking at some of those and seeing how they relate is I would talk with your career development coordinator and your guidance counselors.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be really good resources to help you as far as planning out your programs and looking at your courses. And they can kind of talk about some of the content in those AP courses and whether they will help build on some of the things that we learn in some of the CT courses.
And then another question that came in, this is a good one. If they're not a Sun Valley High School student, so if they came in at 11th grade, would they still possibly be able to get to that 4th level or the highest level in your courses?
Yes, they could take each of the semesters for junior year and each of the 2 semesters for senior year. They could complete one pathway, either avionics or aerospace.
Perfect.
All right, we have about 2 minutes left. If there's any last questions, you feel free to send those up. If something happens and our session with these guys ends, you feel free to use the document that's posted in the chat for you to put questions, and we will make sure that we follow up with those questions and post them on the website along with this recording in case there's some things that maybe you missed or that you joined late and you'd like to learn more about this program. So we've got about another minute or minute and a half. I'm going to leave it and just see if any more questions come in.
One person would know, is this the application process? Is it like a lottery system like it is with CATA?
No.
It's not quite like CATA. So basically it's a first come, first serve what we do here. So we go in, we have our academy. Again, you work with your CDC, fill out your academy applications, and we just fill empty seats in there to make sure until the classes get full. And that works with our central office, work with the career development coordinator at Sun Valley, who is Bev Carney, and they work with them and their guidance department to get them scheduled in there.
And just to add to that, great job, Brian. Just to add to that, it's full for us means approximately 20 students, just due to the requirement of all the equipment and the severity of going out and shooting off rockets. I can't be watching, 50 kids shooting off rockets. So we're limited to about 20 when you're asking that question about a lottery. It's not like that, but it's 20 students.
All right. Well, it sounds like somebody, I'm sorry, did somebody come in there?
Oh yeah, it's Isaiah Jenkins right here. I did like the sign up thing where it was like free for like a week or so, and it had collision repair. I'm wondering if this is like that place.
Yes.
Yep,
So
you're in the right place. Collision repair is actually coming up. It's going to be a little bit later on this evening. Give me
that one starts
second.
at 5:30. So we're using the same Zoom session for all of these. So you can come back in around 5:30 for the collision repair one. And if you're in the up next is going to be Project Lead the Way Engineering and Clean Energy. So if anyone's in there for those sessions, we'll get started in just a minute for those.
All right. With that being said, we're going to wrap up this session. Mr. Vivian, Mr. French, thank you very much. You guys did a great job talking about your program. If we get any more questions, we'll make sure to send them that way for you to answer. Again, we've got some great programs. These guys do a great job out there, and I'd love to see some of you guys take advantage of being in this program. So with that being said, we are going to roll into our next session. We're right at 4:30 and keep things moving. So Joey, I'm going to let you go and introduce our next group.
Okay, perfect. All right. So our next group is going to be Miss Weidman and Mr. Stegall. They're going to be covering Project Lead the Way Engineering, and then we'll have Miss Amanda Mims covering Clean Energy. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with Miss Weidman and Mr. Stegall. And I think you're muted, Miss Weidman.
I am unmuted now, I hope.
Okay, yep.
You can hear me. And I don't know, Mr. Stegall, I have a little presentation that I've put together, but did you have something to do as well?
I'm going to let you do yours, and then if I may
Anything?
supplement some things for what we do.
Okay, that sounds good, because yeah, we do have some different curriculum we teach. So I just have a presentation. I'm not a Zoom person too much, so let me share my screen and let me know if, let's see, if I just do this. Can you all see that yet? I'm trying to just share my.
There it goes. It's coming now, Miss Weidman. You're good.
Okay. All right. Y'all have me in Microsoft Teams mode nowadays, so I'm not used to Zoom. Okay. Well, I'm just going to talk about the three classes that we teach at Weddington High School. I'll try to go through this kind of quickly. But first of all, I wanted to just talk about overall what Project Lead the Way is about. It's a not-for-profit organization that just tries to get some more students interested in STEM's field. It's developed by Carnegie Mellon with support from business and universities. And there's a number, they sort of keep expanding. There's computer science, there's biomedical science, there's engineering, which is what I'm going to be talking about here. The engineering programs they offer at Weddington are these three: Introduction to Engineering Design, Principles of Engineering, and Digital Electronics. All three of those they're very, very different classes as far as the curriculum goes and what the students do in class. There are a number of other curriculum available here in Union County as well. Project Lead the Way uses what they call an APB approach. They get some basic, almost like old school teacher taught lessons that evolve into projects that evolve into larger problem solving activities. So they learn just traditionally to start with, but then they're given more and more freedom with their learning environment as they go. Introduction to Engineering Design focuses on learning the iterative process of engineering design and engineering in general. Just the try things, fail, and try again. They apply math, science, and engineering standards to fun hands-on projects. They learn CAD, and they do a lot of CAD. They experiment with 3D printing. These are some of the things we did just last semester. They created a little box in CAD to store some earbuds. They 3D printed them in the classroom. They took a pen like this, one of these old shuttle pens that go up and down and change colors. They took it apart and reassembled it in CAD and just created all the individual parts and assembled it. They do things like instant challenges, which don't work nearly as well in virtual environments, although we still do them. They're just given a limited number of materials. They created a bridge here just using paper and two little wooden blocks. and they were trying to make it as long as possible. Here they're creating a little cable car to try to get to run on a fishing line. So that's just some of the kind of fun stuff. I'll come back to this if we have time. They make a toy where they assemble CADs and they make it in both in CAD and also in real life. They actually assemble some things in class to, as well. The second engineering class is Principles of Engineering, which is really something where it's like a survey class. They're dabbling in all kinds of different types of engineering, learning about statics and dynamics and robotics, and they just get to tinker with a lot of different things. They do a lot of building in the classroom usually, not so much this semester, but they conduct a professional interview somebody that's in an engineering or technology type field, and they research an engineering field as well. And actually my kids always tell me that they get a lot out of this, especially they really enjoy interviewing a professional engineer. So these are just, I'll go through, these are just sort of the kinds of things they do in class. They're just building different types of machines to do a job that's either been assigned to them or that they have come up with on their own. So that's actually really, the kids love that. They just come in and tinker for 90 minutes a day. The third class that's offered here at Weddington is Digital Electronics. I didn't write that in here, but it's all about electrical engineering, but it's also about logic and designing circuits and just designing logic elements. They create circuits in simulation form as well as in breadboards. It's great for any kids that want to be an electrical engineer or a computer scientist or a computer engineer or programmer. And this is, unfortunately, I've only taught this once. And it was last spring, so we sort of got cut off in, mid-semester, so I don't have a lot of pictures to show you, but the kids just assemble breadboards to do different things, and it's actually kind of my favorite class to teach because they really get a lot out of it. It's a fun class for the kids to do. We actually soldered a circuit board in class today. So that's all I've got. So if anyone would like to take the baton.
Mr. Steegal, if you got anything you want to add to that, please keep going. We've got about 5 minutes that we can give you, and then we can move into talking a little bit about clean energy.
Okay. Let me see if I can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Maybe it won't come up. So anyway, what I'll just add, so I can see what's going on. At Forest Hills, we've been teaching it a little bit longer than Michelle has. So I have added a couple of different programs. One of them is Engineering Essentials, which is Project Leadway's trying to make that kind of their introductory course. So it's a little bit more basic than the Introduction to Engineering Design. And it basically lets kids dip their toe in a lot of different things that engineers do in real world situations and things like that. Then the introductory IED class is what we typically, the students who have taken maybe Math 1 in the 8th grade, they would be put into that. Then I also teach the digital electronics and the principles of engineering. Today we were working on a compound machine where we took individual simple machines that the kids had created and put them together to make a compound machine and calculate the total mechanical advantages on that. The other class I teach that, in addition to what Michelle was talking about, is computer integrated manufacturing. That's primarily my senior course, but I will, if students have finished the other courses, I'll let them in as a junior for that course. In it, we do a lot of design and studying how manufacturing plants work. We actually build little manufacturing plants out of Beck's kits. We'll design CNC controlled milling machines, and I've got one in the classroom where they can create parts with it, as well as parts on 3D printers, and use the drills and the bandsaws and things that we have in class. We don't have quite the fancy facilities that I saw over the aerospace place, but we do the best with what we've got. And the kids, they seem to enjoy the digital electronics and the principles of engineering. And then everybody who takes the senior course, computer integrated manufacturing, likes that, because it's actually creating something and working with industry type equipment and things like that. And one other thing on the, there was a clubs thing mentioned sometime, and I don't have a CTSO organization. We've tried it with TSA before, but did not feel like we got everything out of it. So what I've done is created an engineering and robotics course or club, which lets the kids take these courses that they enjoy and actually work on them after school when they come to the club. So they can, if they're into machines, they can work on those. If they're into digital electronics and the breadboards, they can further develop that, as well as compete in the robotics competitions whenever we get to have those again. So anyway, that's what we do at Forest Hills.
Well, and again, thank you for taking the time to talk about your programs over there, and thank you for plugging the robotics competition. It is a really great and very, very competitive event across the county, and every school is represented there. And Ms. Weidman and Mr. Stegall both have been very successful in the past in our robotics competition. Typically, we have one in the fall and spring, but unfortunately, due to COVID and the restrictions that we have with that, we've not been able to do that. But we are potentially looking at some other options that we could do, maybe even virtually. So, so with that being said, we want to transition and introduce you to Miss Mims, who is our clean energy teacher. So Miss Mims, if you want to pop in there and you can share, if you have anything you want to share, feel free to do that, or you can just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, I'm Amanda Mims, and I am a CTE teacher here at Parkwood High School, and I run the Clean Energy Academy. So let's see if I can pull this up. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Okay, the Clean Energy Technology Academy is actually an academy. So it is located at Parkwood High School. If you are a Parkwood High School student, then you can go in grades 9 through 12. If you are not a Parkwood High School student, then it is treated as an academy, which means juniors or seniors, and you do have to go through the application process, and then you would have to have your own transportation to get here to the school. It does have an end of course test, and it's a third-party SREB exam, so it's not made by me, it's not made by the school, it's actually made by a company outside. Some pathway information. There are 4 courses total in the pathway. It focuses on alternative energy sources. Mostly there's a lot of focus on renewable, but we also do cover some non-renewable, but that are considered green or clean energy sources. It's geared to help prepare you for college and or careers. So if you want to go straight to college, or if you want to go out and do like solar tech installation, things like that, then this gives you kind of a jump start to that. It is a project-based course, so you complete projects specific to different energy sources. It is STEM, so we go through lots of science and a lot of math, and then we do also have the engineering and the technology where we use LabVIEW software and their instruments. Also, we go through the math that, when we do wind turbines and things like that to calculate the power, to calculate swept area. When we do solar, to calculate how efficient the solar panels are. It requires in-class group work. So we do work together as a team. And then there is an employability portion. So you are getting credit for working cooperatively, delegating the work within the group, being present, and then taking part in the presentations. It stresses teamwork, and also we do a good bit with the engineering design process. It's not really in the curriculum, there's not a lot about the engineering design process, but yet you're expected to use it with each process, each project. So we do go over that. We do a whole unit on just the intro to engineering and design. The courses, the first course is called Technology Systems. And I just kind of gave you a brief overview of what projects you do. Motors and generators is one of the projects. Solar panels, that includes working with solar panels to see how tilt affects things and how pointing to a certain hemisphere direction helps. Also, we build a solar panel. So we do soldering skills and things like that. A solar water heater, so that you can see how we can, and we actually make a passive one and we can turn it into active. So you can see that these are things that you can actually do in your own home. Biodiesel from used cooking oil, sustainability. And we also have Clean 2, which is applications, and that is nuclear power. So we don't really go back to the other power sources, or the energy sources. We've done that in Clean 1. So we go with nuclear, and then steam generation, hydrothermal power, geothermal power. And then course 3 involves portable power, moving things, energy storage, and energy efficiency. And then the 4th course is an independent research project. You pick what you want to do that has to do with, one of the energy sources we've done. And one thing I try to stress in this class is that, when you hear the word clean energy, everybody immediately thinks you're anti any kind of energy that's being utilized right now, any fossil fuels or any of that. And that's not really what the course is about. The course is more about how can we take some of these renewable things and supplement, and then eventually maybe draw back some on the fossil fuels and stuff like that. So it's not a political class. It's not, arguing about whether you learn about the fossil fuels, you learn about the advantages and the disadvantages, but you also learn about the advantages and disadvantages of these clean energy sources. This is a couple pictures that I got for you. The first picture is the kids doing, we were chosen to do an algae academy. And so I was lucky enough that every year they let us have algae, and we grow it and we see how fast it grows, and we do some experiments on it. So algae is another energy source that we can use that's easily cultivated. And so the kids get to kind of get hands-on with that. The next pictures are different projects. The first one down there is the solar hot water heater they're working on, the motors, and then last is the wind turbine blades. So they're learning about wind turbines in general, but then they're actually designing their own blades to try and make the wind turbine more efficient. We also had the opportunity last year, but not this year, to go outside of the classroom. And these are from a wastewater treatment plant. And we went there because in course 2, and I knew that we wouldn't get to it probably in course 2, so we went ahead and did it in 1 for them, uses bio-waste to make energy. So to go ahead and get them involved. Hopefully in the future, it will be part of course 2 to be able to do that. The other picture on the right is from the Grenier manufacturing plant. We went there and got to see how robotics and things are used in there and how they use the engineering design process. Okay, are there any questions?
All right. Yes. Great job, Ms. Mims. You all have done a great job talking about your program. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So
okay.
we've got some time for you to ask questions if you're interested in learning more about these programs. Ms. Mims, if you want to just unshare,
okay.
So that way that would be great. And what we can do is we can have you, if you would like to put the questions in the chat, Mr. Barker will relay those to us, or you can just unmute. Feel free to unmute. Our teachers are great guys and ladies. They will be more than happy to just to talk with you a little bit about it. If you feel comfortable doing that. If you think of questions after we finish the session, we do have a document in there that you can access, that you can post questions, and we'll follow up with you with those questions and post them on our website. So with that being said, Mr. Barker, are there any questions already in the chat?
We had one two-part question. It was, do you have to apply for the Pathway Academy for engineering? And is Project Lead the Way different?
So I'm going to let the teachers answer the Project Lead the Way question. I'm going to take the Academy question. So basically, just to make it kind of break down what a CTE Academy is. So a CTE Academy is a pathway of courses that allow a student to travel to a different location. So basically what that means is those students may not have that opportunity at their home school. So in their junior and senior year, they can fill out an academy application, and they can find out more information about that by talking to their career development coordinator at their home school. We do have a link to that on our ucpsct.org site, where you can learn who your CDC is, see a little bio on them, and find out a little bit about how to contact them. Once you fill that application in, we look for empty seats, and then we will work, the central office will work with the schools to coordinate those students being placed in those academies. Your own transportation has to be provided, so you need to be able to drive or have someone be able to take you to and from the location there. And we have a lot of students that take advantage of that. And if you're interested, again, the best thing I can tell you to do is talk to your CDC. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Stegall and Ms. Wyman to talk a little bit about Project Lead the Way.
Well, Project Lead the Way is actually just actually a course at Weddington High School or at Forest Hills High School that you would register for, just like you would any other course when you go through registration.
And what I will say about Project Lead the Way, just to kind of go on, that Project Lead the Way is a third-party curriculum that the state has adopted, and it is a curriculum much like many CTE programs. It's very project-oriented. It's very much a hands-on curriculum, and it's very challenging at times. So they do a really good job providing good resources, good information to the teachers, and really provide a good opportunity for students to learn some concepts there. So I hope that kind of helps with that. Any other questions in there?
No, there was one if any of those options are offered at CATA at this point.
So this is a different program. So CATA is, sorry, somebody's unmuted in there, Mr. Barker. So the academies at CATA is a little bit different thing. So if you apply to CATA, Central Academy of Technology Art, that's different than what we have as a typical CTE program. So if you're going into their engineering academy, that's a little bit more, and they do a little bit more because they also work with South Piedmont Community College and do CCP, and they have a lot of things that go along with that. They do leeway there as well. So in that case, you would need to apply through CATA, and they do have some information on the UCPS CTE website with the High School Programs Expo about CATA, where you can get some information about what they've got going on and how to register if you're interested in applying to CATA. Any other questions coming in there?
Not seeing any in the chat. Let me check the Q&A document. Nope, I'm not seeing any in there right now.
Okay. So we'll give them about another minute or so. With no more questions, we'll let our teachers be dismissed, because I know they've had a long day and they're ready to get home, and if they're not home already, but take a break and eat dinner and do all those things. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any more questions coming in. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and conclude the session. Great job. Guys did a great job filling out or giving out information. And I appreciate your time, and you guys feel free to go. And if we have any other further questions come in our document later, we'll make sure we share them with you and get the answers and post them on our website. We've got about 5 minutes. We're going to start right at 5 o'clock with our construction trades group. We want to make sure if anybody's planning on coming into that they are they don't miss it. So we want to give them a few minutes. So if you need to take a restroom break or get a snack, you've got a few minutes to do that. We'll see you back on here in about 5 minutes.
Hello. I was just wondering if anybody could hear me.
Yes, sir. We
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, okay. I left the meeting through my phone, and I decided to just hook up my like actual computer and use my microphones because in through the phone I wasn't able to see all of the like the screen recordings and stuff. So yeah, now I'm back and I can see everything.
Great. And I know you're interested in our collision program. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that's coming up. Mr. Aldridge is our collision teacher. He is definitely going to be on here talking about that program. It's a really good program. And they do a great job over there. So I'm excited for you to see some of the things that he has to offer over there and some of the things that they do.
Yeah, because it was funny. I came in from South Mech and I did 2 years of their automotive engineering courses out of their three. And when I moved to Weddington, I was like, dang, they don't have any automotive mechanic engineering here. And so I took my chance that I could with this class, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna draw forward into it, so pursue my career, and yeah.
Well, that sounds great. They do a great job, and I think if you ever get a chance to go on the Union County Public Schools website, you can see one of the neat things that they did a couple years ago is they painted and did a complete revamp of a bus and painted it into our bookmobile that goes around and is a mobile library. So if you see that bus, that's our collision department painted that bus.
That's awesome.
Yep. So yeah, we got our construction trades coming in, so our collision should start, our automotive will start right at 5:30 promptly. So if you want to hang out and learn about our construction program, please feel free to do so. These guys have a lot to talk about too with all the things that they do.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here like for a while. I'm just gonna be listening, see what we got, so
That sounds great. Glad to have you. Thank you for joining.
no
And
problem.
the sessions are recorded as well. So we have previous day's sessions posted on our website, and we'll have today's session posted tomorrow. So you can go back and watch some of the things as well if you missed anything.
All right, that's awesome.
So I know our construction teachers are in there. I see them in there. We're going to be starting in about another minute or so. If I think we've got Mr. Medlin up first. I'm not sure if he has anything to share. If you do, feel free to go ahead and share your screen. Not, that's fine.
Yeah, I think he's gonna talk. He'll start out with our HVAC and carpentry programs.
I'm just going to talk. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I can hear you well.
Can you see? I'm having major internet issues this evening, so
it's working good.
All right, good. Okay.
All right, Mr. Medlin, I know we're getting right at time. We got it's going to be a few seconds till 4 or 5 o'clock. So just want to introduce our construction teachers. And we're going to go ahead and be ready to get started right on time with that session. We've got Mr. Mike Medlin, who is at Parkwood High School. He teaches HVAC. He also teaches carpentry. We've got Mr. Kevin Kitchen, who is from Monroe High School, who teaches electrical trades. And we've got Mr. John Threet, who teaches masonry, and he is also at Monroe High School. And these guys do a great job talking about all the things that we do with construction trades. And there are just a great deal of opportunities for students to get some really good paying jobs in these career fields. So what I'm going to do is turn on over to Mr. Medlin and let him talk a little bit about his program.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Brian. And it's funny that you mentioned the opportunities that we have in this industry and in what I teach. I have a student today that has kind of committed to go into a 4-year school, and he's taking construction management. And he had some questions about what he was going to be doing. And so what I did was I put him in touch with some of our associates and mechanical contractors, and he's been on the phone with those guys all day. So he had about 6 different employees call him today and offer guidance and offer their opinion on what he thinks they should do as far as going forward in the future, is what kind of classes to take, what he should be studying. And this was just out of the goodness of their own heart. And so I thought that was really interesting that these contractors took time out of their schedule today, and he's been on the phone with them all day. And that's just some of the opportunities that we have that are kind of extracurricular to, what we teach. But anyway, what I teach is heating and air conditioning, HVAC. And in my class, I like to focus on the basics of the industry, the basic skills and the basic knowledge that you need as you're introduced into this trade, into this field. And we concentrate on the skills as far as soldering and brazing, pulling a vacuum, superheating, subcooling, the basic refrigeration cycle, really basic skills, using a voltmeter and ohm meter, troubleshooting electrical circuits, troubleshooting motors and compressors, things like that. And so we really have some opportunities. You were talking about the opportunities. We really have some opportunities for these guys to get jobs. I have over a dozen students that work in the former students that work in the field now. And we've just got a lot. We're starting to get more and more connections every year. Former students, alumni that are hired into this industry. And that really gives us an opportunity to put our students in contact with guys that have been in their shoes and give them guidance and give them direction on where they should go. We also offer the pre-apprenticeship program through South Piedmont Community College. And Brian, that is a 100% go, correct?
Yep, or we are. This is a brand new program that Mr. Medlin is talking about. We're waiting on it's definitely going to be a go. We're waiting on the paperwork to come back just to get signatures from Apprenticeship North Carolina. But what that does is it allows a student to commit to our program. By committing to that and committing to a program with South Piedmont Community College and a full apprenticeship, and by committing to that program, they have an opportunity to get a free education at South Piedmont in this area, as well as working with industry partners paid while they're doing it. So it's really a nice opportunity. Mr. Medlin, I'll let you continue. I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, that's fine. You really know more about it than I did, but I did not want to get out of here without mentioning that program, especially because I was under the impression as of 2 or 3 days ago that it was a go. So that's pretty much, Brian hit the nail on the head. That's pretty much it. We have a great opportunity with that. We've got a couple contractors that are on board, and basically what it boils down to is, guys, you're going to go to school and it's not going to cost you a dime. It's going to be absolutely free, on top of the fact that you're going to get paid while you're at work. And while you're at school also, you will be paid while you're in class. And that is a great opportunity, and it's really something that I'm excited to get going. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's all I have for you guys, but if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Mr. Medley, can you talk just a little bit real briefly about the carpentry, what you teach in the carpentry program?
I'm sorry. I'm so focused on HVAC, I forget about the carpentry stuff. So I also teach the carpentry classes at Parkwood High, and I am by no means a carpenter. However, anytime you're on the job, my background is in construction, and I did it for 16 years. You have to learn some of these other skills. And so I teach the carpentry classes, Carpentry 1 at Parkwood. And what we did last semester was we built a storage shed. And it's great the way our curriculum is laid out, because our curriculum goes introduction to the trade, and then it goes into materials and adhesives, and then it goes wall system or floor systems, wall systems, roof systems, and stairs. And when we built this storage building, we did a module, and then we went out in between my shop and the classroom, and we would put the floor system down, and then we would come back in and study about the wall systems and learn how to do it. And then we went outside and we studied up the 4 walls. And I just thought it worked out great. It was a really neat opportunity. And you know, we've got a storage shed there pretty much done, ready to go. And the kids loved it. The guys loved it. I got to the point that I was enjoying coming to class every day, because I couldn't wait to get started. I couldn't wait to get busy on our shed.
And one thing I do want to just chime in is that in all these courses, they do get an opportunity to earn a industry recognized credential in there, which is a nice opportunity for them. They can go on a resume, and it can help get jobs for students as they move into the career field. So just to plug that in these courses, they can get an opportunity to get an NCCR curriculum credential. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Mr. Kitchen, you're next on the list. I'll let you get a little bit of time to talk about your electrical program. I see him in there.
Give me a minute. I'm used to Teams, not Zoom. So sorry about that.
That's okay.
Anyways, as Mr. Davis says, my name is Kevin Kitchen. I'm the electrical trades instructor at Monroe High School. Pretty much doing the same things that Mike was talking about. My focus is on my students. My focus is getting them to work when they graduate. My program is through NCCER. Also, it is an apprenticeship-based program. If they take my classes, successfully pass NCCER's exams, when they graduate, they immediately go into the 3rd-year apprenticeship program. The majority of the contractors that I deal with are eager for our students to get out of here. There's so much going on in my head right now. I don't know where to start. I get too excited when I think about my students and what the futures that they have for them. Contractors that we have involved right now, had one student come from Weddington, was asking about this. Talked with one contractor. Contractor is a new contact, never heard of our program. I was very excited about it. I put this student in touch with this contractor. I think this was last Wednesday. I was talking to the student Thursday. I said, well, how'd it go? And he said, well, basically, he told me I already got the job. And he hadn't interviewed him, hadn't talked to him, anything along that lines. Because the programs that we are doing is hands-on, bare bones. This is what you're going to do. One of the things that I tell our students, I said, the good thing about our class is that everything that we do in our class, you will hear it again, and you will do it again when you get out here in the field. So it's not like you're going to go out here, take a math test and never hear about it, or a social studies test. What you do, you're going to continue to do from this point forward. The NCCER program, like I said, it's developed into 3 level 1, level 2, level 3. So when they graduate, like I said, that puts them immediately into the third year. A couple things that I've learned this past year, we're talking to some of our contractors, is our students, if they graduate and continue in the field that they're in and get into a North Carolina recognized apprenticeship program, if the contractor can get them registered within the first 120 days, then the state pays for their entire tuition for the rest of the apprenticeship program, and it also pays for all of their books. So it's an incentive for the contractors. It's an incentive for the students. I know because the contractor told me, he said, man, he said, that could have saved me $18,000 if I'd learned that about 2 years ago. So the program is wide open. I mean, if the students are interested in it, they literally graduate Saturday, go to work Monday, if that is what they want to do. So what else would you like to know? Like I said, my mind's going every which direction and it's hard to get focused right now.
No, that's great, Mr. Kitchen. It's a nice job overviewing. And what we'll do is we'll let Mr. Threet talk a little bit about his program, and then what we'll do is we'll open it up for questions. I'm sure there'll be a few in there and let you guys, and maybe between now and then, if there's something else you'd like to share, you'll have plenty of time to do that. So, Mr. Threet, we'll go ahead and we'll let you have your turn if you want to tell a little bit about our Masonry program.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, I didn't push right, but okay. I teach the masonry, and like I said, it does affiliate with the NCCER program, and talking to the students and telling everybody about the program. Now, in the masonry construction, you don't have to have all of this ongoing education to go with it. You actually can leave and go out in the field and make $22, $18, $28 an hour. And, you know, with the kids today and with everybody working today, everybody needs money. And so now on the school level of it is, you know, we have the intro, the beginning stages of it. And we have like 3 levels. You have a Masonry 1, a Masonry 2, and a Masonry 3. And what we try to do is expose you to tools, get you to work as a team, because when you get out there on the job, you'll be working as a team, you know, and that's how they build houses. And just like in our other fields, our electrical, heating and air conditioning, the masonry, the carpentry, even down to the welding, you know, we all work as a team and when you're building a house. And there's a shortage of masons. You know, all the guys, some of them got too old, they done retired and whatever. And so you want to try to learn something that where there's a shortage, you don't have to worry about getting a job. And I know I tell students that computers don't like water. So if you look around, you see concrete floors and you see block walls or brick walls. So see, that a mason is a person that, you know, it's a craft. And once you learn it, can't nobody take it away from you. And just to give kids the exposure of learning how to use some tools, hold some tools, you know, that means a lot. So just because you take a masonry program, it opens up to other fields in construction. As Mr. Metlin said, it opens up to other fields in construction. And for instance, you could end up being a forklift driver, a truck driver, a maintenance, small engine repair maintenance worker, just by being exposed to being in the masonry program. So, but yes, I would like some masons. We do need to train some more masons, and we have one of the largest companies right here in North Carolina, McGee, and there's also some other companies, Brody Masonry, and these guys, they do big jobs. You know, I hear a lot of people, they say, well, I don't want to be no brick mason because you can't work in the winter. Well, you make enough money sometimes in the summer that when the wintertime come, you still be okay. You just got to know how to use that money. And so, but it all begins with right here in the school. We got the opportunities. It's there. You got to want it. And all I can say is you got to get to us, and we'll do everything that we can to help you get where you're trying to be. And I hope I'm speaking that for all of us CTE partners.
All right, thank you, Mr. Threet. So, Mr. Barker, I know we've got about 15 minutes left on the scheduled time. So, is there any questions out there for our team?
We had one question in there. Typically, you think of construction, you think of males in there. So there was a question about females and girls in your guys' classes. Do you have?
I'm gonna let Mike answer that question. I know Parkwood, he's had some young ladies over there that have been really active in their program.
I really do. I've been fortunate to have several young ladies that have done very, very well. And I think the reason Brian said this is he's got one young lady in particular in mind. Our females do come to my class, and they do take all of our classes. They're welcome, and actually they make our classes a little bit better, because a lot of times the boys, they don't do some of the crazy stuff that they do when there's no girls in there at all. So as teachers, we kind of enjoy some of that, but absolutely there is a place in HVAC, and I'm sure in all the other trades, for the ladies. And as a salesman and as a person that goes into individual homes and goes into businesses and services equipment and sales equipment, the ladies really do have an advantage in that situation. Women are more likely to buy from another woman, and men are more likely to buy from a woman. It's just the way it is. And so we really do. I encourage all my ladies to come in and take my class. And I've got several that have been very successful. One in particular that Brian is thinking about, she's had 2 or 3 job offers, and I think she's graduating this year. And she's already had a couple of job offers from left over from last year. Just a couple little things that we did, little programs like this, where we are in contact with other contractors, and she's giving presentations for us, trying to help sell my program. And she was approached by 2 different contractors wanting to know when she was graduating, and was she looking for a job. So yeah, absolutely. The ladies, the female students, in a lot of ways have an advantage, and can do better than the guys sometimes.
Well, and just to add on to that, if you watch TV today, you see a lot of the commercials on TV, and these industry partners that we work with, as well as and are in the industry, you see them putting the need for females in the construction trades up there for first and foremost, because they know that exactly what Mike said is very true. So we would encourage, if you're a young lady and you think it might be something that you're interested in, please, talk with your career development coordinator at your school, get to know them. They can tell you a little bit more about the program. They can put in touch with teachers and let you have an opportunity for your parents or you to speak with them and learn a little bit more about them. But I would encourage you, they do a really, really good job of letting you really get in there and get your hands onto to projects and curriculum that you're going to use when you get into the workplace. So I would encourage you, if you're a young lady and you're interested and you think it might be something you're interested in, we have our introductory course is called Construction Core. And that course really gives you the hands-on, learn about shop safety, power tools, hand tools. You learn about a little construction math. You also learn about things as far as beginning to start the building. So I would encourage you to look at that and talk with your CDC about that. And if you're new in here and you haven't heard, I've kind of mentioned it a few times, but You can go learn who your CDC is. If you don't know who that is, we've got a directory on the ucpscte.org site where you can go click on who your CTE is, learn a little bit more about them, and watch a little video bio about them. So hope that answered that question. Right, Mr. Barker, any more?
There was one about where's the masonry program. So I answered that's at Monroe, but maybe we just recover where we have our construction programs at, and if someone wasn't at one of those schools, how that works.
Okay, I can take that one as well. Right now we got welding at Parkwood, and we've got that at Monroe High School. And the welding is going to do a presentation on Saturday. So if you're interested in welding, please take a few minutes and come into that session on Saturday morning. We have our masonry at Monroe High School. We have electrical trades at Monroe High School. We've got our carpentry, and we've got HVAC at Parkwood High School. And these are all academy programs. Because of the facility needs for these programs, we cannot offer these at every school. We have to have the shop facilities and things to go along so that we can certify students. So if you're interested in these courses, when you are looking to go into your junior year, you can fill out an academy application. Again, talk with your CDC and find out more information about that. And when you do that, what we do is we work with the schools where we have these programs, and we fill empty seats there with those students interested from other schools. You're still going to be if you're a Sun Valley student and you're wanting to go take electrical trades at Monroe High School, you'll still be a Sun Valley student. You just travel to that school for those classes, and then you would travel back. So you do need to provide your own transportation. We do not provide transportation for those programs. If you are at that school, you're a Monroe or a Parkwood student, then you have the opportunity to start that program at a younger age. So just kind of, I think I answered that. If you're the person that asked that question, if you have any other questions, feel free to post again or unmute.
Brian, I'd like to say something also about Builders Bridge. We have an internship that we are actively trying to pursue and trying to get our students interested in. And basically what that is, Builders Bridge allows our juniors to be able to go to work the summer before their senior year. They're able to get there and pretty much go and do whatever they want to do. If they want to get into the electrical trades, if they want to get into the HVAC, the plumbing, masonry, laying footers, sheetrock, whatever the case may be. Because of the Builders Bridge and because of the internship and how it is designed, these students are actually allowed to go on the job site and put their hands on the tools and actually do the work. Whereas without that program, about the only thing the contractors can do is let them set in a warehouse somewhere and play with some material, something along that lines. So that is also something, if you've got somebody that's coming up on, and they don't have to be in a CTE program. This may be something that gets them interested, but they don't have to be in a CTE program, correct, Brian, to be able to participate in this?
Well, and what I would tell you to do, if you're interested, Mr. Kitchen brings up a really good point with our work-based learning program here. What I would encourage you to do is, we had a presentation on Monday, and it is recorded and posted on our website, where our work-based learning coordinators came in and spent about 30 minutes talking about our internship. So what I would encourage you to do is take a few minutes, go look at that. And I would say at that point, then talk with your career development coordinator. They can help you through the process of setting that up. So it is one of those things that is a really, really good opportunity. Sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're not. A lot of our construction trade companies do pay for internships. So we have internships in the summer, and we can do those during the school year. So it is something that we are constantly promoting. We also have other events like immersion events and things like that we provide for our students that allow them to get some hands-on experience in the field. So again, I would encourage you to do that. We have a work-based learning coordinator whose name is Karen Adcock, and she works with our construction trades. And I think that kind of answered that question. One thing I did want to just chime in too, we also have a program out there called Major Clarity. Major Clarity is free to use for any 6th through 12th grader. You can access that through Clever. So if you have not seen that and you're a student or a parent and you have a student in the school system, please make sure you have them go in and look at that. And there's some things in there where they can do some career assessments and some personality assessments. but it also allowed them to go and look at some of these careers that are related to the construction trades, as well as any other career. And they can watch some videos about it. They can also go in there and take some little activities that they have in there, and to see if which type of trade or career may be the best for them. So again, if you have any questions about that, I would also encourage you to see your career development coordinator. They're going to be a good resource to help you with that. And it's, again, you already have access to it if you're a 6th through 12th grade student in Union County Public Schools. Any other questions?
Yeah, there was a really good question that came in. So if you were interested in one of these programs, would it be advantageous, or is there any benefit of, as a freshman, transferring to that school where the program is held as compared to like their home school?
As far as just a complete transfer to the school, wanting to move to a different school, that was one of those things, to be able to do that, it has to be a school of choice to be able to do a transfer, or it's based on location where you live. So you would have to look and see if that particular school is a school choice. I guess the advantage, if you could do that, you would need to, it would allow you to start the program at an earlier age. So that would be the way I would kind of go about that. You could get more classes in potentially. Any other questions?
There was a follow-up to that on what is school choice on there, and I'll see if I can find it on the website and post it.
Yeah. If you can find that and post into that, and there's several schools that it's based on the enrollment in the schools is really what they look at. But there's definitely some information in there, and you do have to apply that. And that would be that is not through CTE. That's through another department. Yep.
It looks like that's all the questions I have in here.
Okay, well, that sounds great. I first want to take just a minute and thank our teachers for spending some time this evening. I know you guys have had a long day and done a lot for students today. And we appreciate you taking the time and doing a great job talking about how important the construction trades is. And I can't stress enough how much of a growing industry our construction trades are in Union County. And there are jobs out there for students interested in these careers. I work with industry partners all the time that are really, really clamoring to get our students. So if this is something that you're interested in, please take a moment, talk with your CDC, try to find some more information about it. Feel free to explore our website. We've got some great videos and some more information about our programs and the pathways on there. And again, if you have any further questions, use that document, please submit them, and we'll try to work to get those answered and posted in the coming days. With that being said, I'm going to let our teachers get out of here and enjoy your evening. And we have our next session with our collision and automotive program coming up in about 3 minutes. All right, if you are still waiting on automotive, we're going to be starting in just about a half a minute. Want to make sure if anybody is particularly looking at that program, they have time to add and get ready. And while we're doing that, I do want to take just a minute to thank our teachers for being in here. Appreciate your time tonight. I know you guys have had a busy day and it is getting late. And I want to introduce who we have in here. So our automotive program, talking about what we do, we've got Mr. Page, Scotty Page, and Mr. Roger Presley from Central Academy, who are our auto service teachers. And we've got Mr. Aldridge, Greg Aldridge, who is our collision teacher, who's also at CATA. So I want to give them just a minute to go ahead and talk a little bit about what they've got going on. And what we'll do is we'll start with our auto service program. If you guys have anything you want to share, any kind of presentation, feel free to go ahead and share that, and then we will let you guys get started.
Okay, we do have a presentation. It has collision and auto service in it, so we'll all three of us be talking. Let me figure this share screen. Oh, I'm working on it.
As one of our teachers said the other night, we hadn't made them jump through enough hoops yet, figuring out all this remote learning and technology. We put them through Zoom for this meeting, and they're usually in Microsoft Teams.
Okay. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see
Yes.
my PowerPoint? Whoa, I didn't mean for it to.
Yes, sir. You're good to go.
Right, wait a minute. It's doing its own thing. All right, so let me back this thing up. That's not what we want to happen. Okay. All right, so we are CATA, Automotive Service Pathway. I'm going to talk about it first, and then Greg can chime in when we get to collision. So we are an ASE certified program, which basically is a lot of words that talks about that, but it's all right. So now it's not showing my next slide. Hold on, y'all.
Roger, I think you got the presentation going and the actual present view, plus we can see you're on the, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Now you got it.
Okay, we won't go through all this. This is a lot of words to describe a program, what it takes to be ASC certified. Y'all, I'm sorry. I don't know what my thing's doing. All right. As y'all can see, I'm not very computer savvy, and I apologize. We did try this today. I did get some little training on it. All right, so we have being a high school with 4 years, the kids have the opportunity to see a lot more of the automotive service training than normal. These are some of the areas some of the classes that they're taught. The progression, they start out in 9th grade as fundamentals and work their way up. And I don't know how to make this stop doing that. The certifications they can get a student certification in ASE through ASE. ASE is a national organization that certifies not only programs, but technicians as well. We all have automotive service certifications that we have to keep up with. They do a nationally recognized safety program. That one's automotive service, and they have the collision as well in that one in our program. But basically what the automotive service certification says is that we're a facility that has everything that we need to teach at a level that the industry expects. So over the years and recently, our CT department has seen the value in what we do, and we have, if not everything, close to everything that they'll experience and see in the industry as far as tools and equipment. They get to handle all this equipment and see these different tools that they'll use in the industry. So that's a pretty neat thing. It takes a lot of money to provide a program like this, and they're continuously updating our program to make it better. So this is a few things. There's a 4-wheel alignment machine that's just been upgraded. I'm sorry. We have computer balancers, tire balancers. It's the same thing that they'll see in industry. We have tire equipment. We have computer diagnostic equipment, air conditioning equipment. So they get to see a wide variety of things in automotive service shop. Plus, we do some cool things. These are some of our rat rod projects. This was the first one we did, this S10 truck. Then we've got a conglomeration here with this Ford, and there's a lot of different things going on there. But these are some ongoing projects that we are working on. And we do some electric vehicles as well. The electric vehicles are conversions that we've done. Greg, you're going to have to talk fast when yours gets here.
Yeah, I think, Roger, I think you got your auto transitions on what you got going on.
I'm not, okay, let me try something. No, that's not what I'm doing. Maybe this will work. All right, so we do some electric vehicle.
Roger, one thing I'll tell you to do just to help you out, just close out the presentation view and just go back and show the slides like you were in the actual program. That might be a little easier for you and stop those transitions quick.
Okay. Let me see, now it's not showing what I'm showing to it. All right, let me start over. Y'all, I apologize. This looks bad, I know. All right. So now it's not changing. There it goes. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's digital. So we do some electric car conversions. These are vehicles that were gas powered cars that we converted on our own with some kids, and kids really enjoy doing that. It's a lot of fun, and they learn a lot in these programs. All right, Greg, I'm gonna try to keep your stuff from going everywhere.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just as confused as I can be right there with this PowerPoint.
It's okay. It's just trying to aggravate you.
It is.
But anyway, so the collision repair pathway, we do offer the ASE and the ICAR. We focus more on the ICAR because that's what the industry uses. So as far as the ICAR certifications go, you can start in the 9th grade if you do come to CATA full time. If you do choose to stay at your home school and come in your 11th, 12th grade year, you can still take those classes. You just won't be able to get all of the classes that we do offer that way, but you can get, I think, 4 or 5 of those classes doing that way. If my slideshow will get back to there we go. So here's all the classes that we do offer. So it's okay. Fundamental, Collision 1, Collision 2 refinishing, Collision 2 non-structural, estimating, and advanced studies as well. So as far as the breakdown goes, if you look on the screen there, if you do come as a 9th grader, you take collision fundamentals as a 9th grader, then 10th grade, Collision 1, 11th, Collision 2, non-structural refinishing, and 12th grading would be estimating and advanced studies. So these are just the example certificates. So the certificate on the left is your ICAR certificate that you will receive after taking fundamentals. You have the opportunity to receive 24 different ICAR certifications, and that's what your certificate will look like. That will be mailed directly from ICAR. The other safety training portion that we offer as well is SP2 that is recognized in the industry. And that is a copy of one of those certificates that you will be able to get and take to a job offer as well. And that's what we try to do. We try to train you from the beginning to the end so you can leave straight out of high school and go into these positions and not have to do any further training college-wise if that's what you choose. We did have a student who did that last year who graduated. He is working at Hendrix luxury car division in Charlotte. He straight out of high school went and worked for Hendrix. So it's pretty cool. So it's just some of the things that we have done in the past that we have worked on. Take stuff from the beginning that are in pitiful shape, fix them up, make them nice, and send them back to their owners. These are all customer vehicles that we work on. And you see the bus there in the middle. That was a big one we done a few years ago. That was a regular school bus, and we took it and painted it up and put the nice designs on it and all that fun stuff. So, we've done a lot of things, and we try to do a lot of projects throughout the year because hands-on experience is where it's at. Our next slide will be our Skills USA Club, which we do participate in. So this is when we went to the state competition. So all those guys on the stage, they all placed in the state competition. And so we take part in that as well. They all do very well when they go. The state competition this year is virtual online, which we still will be going to, but it's not in Greensboro. Usually it's in Greensboro. We stay for 3 days, and we just have a good time. We go kart riding and all kind of fun stuff while we're there.
This is just a slide that talks about the career opportunities. If I can keep it here long enough to see it. The demand for technicians in the collision and the service side is tremendous. This was a year and a half ago when the Hendrick Auto Group published this. They are nationally 600 technicians short and 150 in North Carolina, and they are actively recruiting our students as well as different places. The Ford Motor Company, Toyota, all these people are actively recruiting our students. A lot of kids have the opportunity to go into the field without going on into further training. A lot of people are wanting to train their own people. So if this is a career opportunity that you think you want to be in or your student wants to be in, now is a great time to get into it because it's changing rapidly. We're seeing gasoline powered cars in the near future and their future will probably not be around as much. And so they can get on the ground floor of the new era of electric and hybrids and the alternative fuels that's going on. So it's really a great time for them to get into this if this is something that they enjoy doing. This slide that I keep trying to, we had 2 students qualify to go to Hendrick NASCAR engine building competition, which was a really big deal. They got to go. There was 18 students in North and South Carolina. I think there's some South Carolina, and they got to go and compete in this thing. And it was great. They treated them really good. Mr. Hendrick himself was there, and he talked to those kids, and he pretty much said, "You graduate, you come to one of my dealerships, and we're going to take care of you. We're going to supply tools." And there's our guys that got to go. It was a really neat experience for them. So we're hoping.
And to add to that, Mr. Presley, Mr. Hendrick also said that he'd buy their toolbox if they came back and worked for him.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so my student that actually went to work for him, he reminded them of that. So they're getting him his toolbox full of tools.
Yeah, he's that's. Well, I can't hardly see my picture, but yeah, it was pretty neat. That's a pretty neat deal. There, a lot of manufacturers are starting to really up their game as far as getting these kids in there because the population of the technicians today are aging out quickly. A lot of technicians that are there now are not looking forward to the new cars, the new electric vehicles and things going on. So they're really looking for young people that are willing to do this business. And this business has changed a lot over the years. It's not going to work and get all greasy like it was when I started. It's a very technical field right now. And it's there's a lot of good stuff going on with it. Okay, I'm going to turn this slideshow off. If that's okay.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, I just want to reiterate that Hendrick engine build competition was as an educator, was one of the neatest things I've ever seen, to see students go in and tear apart an engine and just make it run right there on stage in front of everybody. It was really, really cool. And Mr. Page and Mr. Presley, they do a great job getting their students ready. And I will tell you, those CATA kids in there that were in this program, actually one of them was an academy kid, a CTE academy. The other one was a CATA kid. Two of them were. That's right. They represented super well, and they did a great job. In fact, their team was behind, and when they went in there, they really made a huge comeback while they were up there doing their part of putting that engine together. So just bragging on our teacher on how good a job they do with their students, and making sure that you knew that how well they did in that program. It was really neat. Any questions in there for the team, Joey?
We haven't had any questions posted. Hopefully Isaiah, I know he's been talkative earlier, so hopefully he's got some questions for you guys. I know he's interested in collision and some other things.
Yeah. Yes, I do. So basically I start off my automotive, well, trying to kick it off with automotive repair. I started off with I was over at South Mech, and I did the automotive service fundamentals and automotive service 1 there. And basically all I need to know is like just when to come over and learn, or like basically how is this going to be set up.
So I'm going to help out with a little bit of that question, Isaiah. So let me just clarify, you're a Weddington High School student currently?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So and way our academy program work, you would apply for because we have it set up so that you can take our automotive program not only as a CATA student, but you can also be a CTE Academy student, where you can be a Weddington student and travel over to Central Academy or Forest Hills, where we also have our program there. CATA would be the closer place for you. And you would travel over there and take those classes, and it probably depends, either be in the morning or afternoon, is how we would do that. So what I would tell you to do is, if you're at Weddington now, if you know Miss Ann Lee, she is the CDC, the Career Development Coordinator there at your school. Talk with her a little bit about it, and she can really help you with getting the academy process started. What grade level are you, if you don't mind telling me?
I am in 11th grade.
All right, so you're definitely qualified. So what I would do is just go ahead and talk with her and let her know that you're interested, and she can help you with the academy application and get that submitted, so that we can look at working through that process and getting you set up so that next year you can get into some of those courses. Again, it sounds like you have your option. You could take some auto service, but it also sounds like you're really interested in Mr. Aldridge's collision program. So there's some good opportunities for you to expand on what you got at South Mech.
Yeah, Mrs. Lee as in MS.LEE.
You're muted, Brian. Or Mr.
Sorry about that. First time. So her office is over there near your guidance department. So if you go in there, they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
All right.
There was another question about how many students do we accept into the automotive program?
Yeah, I'm gonna let our teachers answer that question about the number of students you guys have in that question, and I can kind of expand on it if needed.
Well, the number we try to keep is no more than 16 per class.
Yeah, and just the reason for that is just because you're in a shop setting and you got to be cognizant of safety and things that are in there. However, we typically have some space in there for academy students. So, again, encourage you to go ahead and apply to those. If we don't have room at CATA, we also have room at Forest Hills. So what we typically try to do is look at the location of the home school, and then we try to find the location that would be the most appropriate as far as traveling distance to get to the program. We teach auto service 1, 2, and 3 at Forest Hills, but we only teach collision at Central Academy. Any more questions in there, Mr. Barker?
There was one about what the academy, how they apply to it. So I posted the link in the chat as well to them. But again, if you see your career development coordinator or CDC at your school, they can answer those questions. They can kind of walk through the process.
Yeah, and another thing, I just want to throw another plug in there. We also have a program called Major Clarity that all of our students, if you're a parent of a child in Union County or you're a current student, 6 through 12, that you can go in and use Clever, which is a single sign-on that we have in Union County. And you can access Major Clarity, and it gives you an opportunity to go in there and look at some of these automotive careers, learn more about them. You can see some videos, you can do some little activities in there, and maybe you can kind of narrow down which of these careers in the automotive industry you're interested in. So maybe you're kind of weighing collision or service. You can look at that, and on some of these assessments that they have in there and little activities, you may decide that I lean more collision over service after that. So It's a good way for you to go in there and begin playing around and exploring the career opportunities. There also is a way for you to go in there and start looking at courses as well and building out some of those things. If you need help with that, again, I'm going to refer you to your career development coordinator. And again, if you do not know who that is, you can always go to the Union County or UCPSCTE.org site, and there is a directory of our CDCs, and you can see who that person is and see a little bio about them and learn a little bit about them, so you know what their face looks like if you're walking down the hallway.
So Brian, just to expand on that a little bit more, so if they were to want to do both, that is an option as well. We've had kids come from different schools to take our academy classes only. They would come in at third block and take either my class or Mr. Page's class. And then fourth block, they would switch and go to the next class. So that basically they would come to CATA for a half a day. So that's an option for them also if they wanted to do both.
Now that may be Isaiah, right up Isaiah's alley right there. He can continue his auto service and learn some about collision. So definitely something you might want to look at, Isaiah. All right. Any other questions coming in?
There was one other one kind of about the CATA lottery and the way the numbers work for that as compared to how we do it in academies.
So here, what I'm going to say on the Academy lottery is I'm going to refer you to the Central Academy website. There's a lot of information on there. There's also a link to it on our high school programs Expo page where you can go find more information about that. That would be a good question for you. If you don't find the information you need, to reach out to somebody at the school, one of the guidance counselors or one of the administrators. We also have Miss Bartell who's in there. She may be able to share a little bit about that. She's actually the career development coordinator at the school. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that process now, Elizabeth.
Yeah, what I was going to do is say we're having a CATA crawl tonight, a virtual CATA crawl tonight. So if you go to the CATA website and just click on the main link on the very front page, it'll take you there. There's a general session. They're all broken down by academies, and you can just click on whatever link you're interested in to get information from. So these guys will be there tonight too. But there's a general information link there, and the counselors and other people will be there to ask or answer any questions you have about the lottery process, anything you need to know related to applying to CATA. And then if you have just specific questions for the teachers based on what they're teaching in their academies and their programs, that will be those individual links that you'll click on too. Okay?
Thanks, Elizabeth. Appreciate that. All right.
There was one more question on there. I know. How will everything work with COVID guidelines being different from different schools and taking academy classes? So I know you guys currently have students at our academy, even though we have our COVID protocols. We still have students traveling from other schools and.
Yeah, that is correct. We still have students traveling, and at the schools, each school should be following the COVID guidelines. So again, these gentlemen in the classes, they work to follow those guidelines in their classrooms just like they would at the home school. All right, Mr. Barker, if there's no other questions, I know we're getting towards 6 o'clock. I know our CATA guys here are getting ready to do the CATA crawl. They've got a long evening. I want to thank our 3 automotive and collision teachers for being here. I appreciate your time. I know you guys have had a busy day. Ms. Bartell, thank you for chiming in and providing that information about the CATA crawl. If you're interested in CATA, I would encourage you to spend some time and learn about that and attend the CATA crawl. It's a great event. They do a good job with it. If you have any questions that were not answered and you think about those later after the fact, please enter them in the document. We'll work to try to get those answered and posted on our website. Also, this video this video is recorded so that we will have an opportunity. If you miss something or want to go back and look at it, you can watch the recording. We're typically having those up and posted next day. So I hope to have this video sometime by tomorrow afternoon up and ready to go. I again want to thank everybody for being there and learning a little bit about our programs. And I look forward to seeing all of you in our classes next year. So again, with that being said, everybody have a great evening and enjoy the night.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. You too.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.